What up, F words? This is Jazzy McFistington from Vice. You can tell I work at Vice because I have this real cool knife on my desk out in the open, and I got this bottle of brewski that I'm just sitting here drinking at 2 o'clock on a Monday. Delicious. So, on today's episode of News Time, we've got Netflix, some crap with that. You know, they're opening up movies and movie theaters and whatnot. Plus, we got a story about Vice losing a lot of money and having to get rid of 15% of its workforce. Is this true? Oh, man. I haven't even set up my 401k yet.
It's news time. Delivering to you the news you didn't know about, the news you didn't care about, and the news you didn't know you cared about. With host, Chad White. Now, here's that host, Chad White.
I got your traditional release right here. I'm talking about my movie stub collection. Welcome back to News Time. I'm your host, Chad White. So stupid. And this is the comedy news that you didn't know about. Ever since its introduction into the originals game, Netflix has aimed to shake up what we consider conventional. They've single-handedly created a market in which a movie or show can be released with little to no fanfare and it'd be a hit with critics and audiences alike. Well, in theory at least. The fact is, not many of their shows and movies have been praised for being completely well done. They're canceling their Marvel shows left and right, not to mention their other shows, and unless something is exceptional enough to live within the pop culture norms for more than a few weeks, it dies by the wayside. Just another product of this binge watch culture. Beyond that, one of the more interesting ways Netflix is trying to change distribution is by how they release their own movies. Reed Hastings has gone on record talking about how antiquated the regular distribution model is. He agrees that movies needn't be released in theaters in order to receive proper award recognition. The Academy begs to differ, as does the Cannes Film Festival, and pretty much everyone else in the industry. I've reported on this a couple of times before, so many times. In fact, I'm sick of talking about it, but Netflix gets the clicks, so here we are. Only a couple of years since Netflix CEOs said they weren't going to bend to the will of the movie world's theatrical release rules, they're bending to the will of the movie world's theatrical release rules. Their next 3 Oscar hopefuls are set to have short theatrical runs prior to their streaming dates just a couple of weeks later. Just 2 years ago, Netflix partnered with small theaters in order to release their films for a short period in order to be eligible for Oscar contention, releasing movies on those small screens the same day as they hit those smaller screens. That was pretty good, wasn't it? Bear in mind that most movies the streamer puts on its service are acquired, which means they were being made or made already prior to being purchased. And these next few movies fall into that category. The first one, the Coen Brothers limited series turned movie, The Ballad of Buster Scruggs, premiered in Los Angeles, New York, San Francisco, and London on November 8th, ahead of its release on Netflix this coming Friday, the 16th. Alfonso Cuarón's Roma and Suzanne Bier's Bird Box are getting the same treatment. While it seems like Netflix only wants to serve its filmmakers, it seems as though the company has finally seen the light when it comes to playing ball with the bigwigs. Course contributor Aisha Hassan also cites an attraction of top-tier celebrity talent as a reason for the sudden change. As cited by Hollywood Reporter contributor Pamela McClintock, the National Association of Theater Owners vice president had some choice words for the streamer that talked down about the traditional release model. And he's right. Netflix's ignorance kept their filmmakers from being great. Who knows? Maybe Bright would have gotten an Oscar I'm sorry. I can't finish that sentence. Okay. For now, this isn't a game-changing move. Netflix is still not going to report views or box office totals or anything important. But what if this is a sign of their baby steps to being a more traditional outlet with non-traditional backings? I mean, they're just now putting up special features with their shows and movies. Who's to say they won't keep moving forward? And finally, let's take a look at some pretty damning news coming out of the Vice camp. The hipster news conglomerate has been expanding over the past few years. First, they take over History Channel 2 with their own network, then air a bunch of new shows, only to cancel most of them. RIP. And then they air mostly acquired shows. See, there's that word again. All that while still on the HBO side, doing some of the best work that's come out of their partnership with the premium cabler in years with a daily news show and their weekly magazine show. And, of course, the website and all the good and bad that comes with that. All that being said, last week may have been a tough one for them. You know, less tough than those sexual harassment accusations and being deemed a boys' club, but still tough. One of their biggest investors, Disney, is writing off $157 million of its $400 million investment into the site from 2015. Numbers have been a little spotty, but Disney does indeed own a stake in Vice Media, its parent company, A&E Networks, and there's some joint venture between Hearst Corp and Disney with A&E. It's maybe 19%. Also, with this Fox acquisition business, Disney is set to own a whole lot more of the website thanks to 21st Century Fox's stake in the company. Check out these numbers and you'll see Disney still comes off a winner in the whole situation while Vice has lost $800 million in value. Vice hasn't been doing well in the money department as of late, something both of us have in common. Projected revenue for 2018 is said to top out at $650 million, which is about flat with last year's and $100 million below what they initially predicted in the summer of 2017. That was at a time when they got capital from private equity firm TPG, of which also gave Vice the highest valuation for a new media company at $5.7 billion. Prior to the Disney valuation, the media company was worth about $4 billion. But new CEO Nancy Dubuc is just getting started. Vice plans on shrinking its workforce by 15%. Additionally, they plan on getting rid of at least half of its sister sites or verticals like Munchies, Broadly, and Noisy, and the like. Dubuc's new plan looks to grow past millennial focus. Netflix and Vice have a few things in common. They came into a media landscape with the plan to change what people traditionally thought TV and news to be. By taking on the norms, they challenged the older, more comfortable networks and sites to do better by their users. Now that we're living in a world where those more established entities are pushing themselves, whether it be HBO stepping up production in its shows or CBS This Morning going toe-to-toe with other morning shows by not stooping to their pop culture obsessed levels, it's no wonder Netflix and Vice have to change tactics. Being the top dog only to fall a few years later can be tough, but both have the capability to sidestep any issues and rise to the top. Speaking of rise to the top, why don't you rise to the top and subscribe to this channel and also watch our other videos. Of course, you can always head to the website cpluscomedy.com where there's some new interviews coming out plus a couple of podcasts. You can follow us on Facebook, like us on Facebook. You can follow us on Twitter at cpluscomedy. And you know what? Listen to the podcast. Sometimes you mess up and you just got to keep rolling if you're not doing this again.